Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Entrepreneur Mind Speak. I'm Lauren with Crème de Mint, a branding and packaging design agency. And I'm here with my co host, Natalie.
Hi, I'm Natalie from Tampa, Florida, and I run a web development agency. We do websites, Shopify, all that stuff.
Awesome. And today we have Mike Simon from Surfsnax here today. Hi, Mike. Thank you so much for being here today.
Hi, Lauren. Hi, Natalie. What a pleasure to be here.
Great to have you.
Yeah, we're so excited to talk to you about Surf Snacks. Tell us about yourself. How did you end
Right?
up
Yeah.
CEO of Surf Snacks? Like, what is your background? Let's talk to you about that.
Well, I think you asked it the right way because like healthy snacks is I think, how CPG in this particular part works, but it's such a weird piece of the industry. And I don't think anyone sets out, in college or whatever and is like, oh, let me get into healthy snacks. And it is up in this line of work. Um, but yeah, so I was a chemical engineer and I was actually working in Wisconsin for a Fortune 500 company. This was like 13 years ago, maybe. And my parents started a cookie company down here in Miami. It was called Ginny Bakes. So they brought me down to help with operations, and then I got into a little bit of sales. Basically, from there, eventually that company ended. I moved on, started my own cookie business briefly, moved into a CEO role for a small local acai company. I ran that for, I think, 4 years. And then I worked for a food waste company, which was awesome. And then about 4 years ago now, I've started at Surfsnax. And basically, I've always been in CPG, specifically in food manufacturing. My father-in-law has always had a salmon business as well, and he's been circling, working together for a long time, and had found this salmon jerky company locally that was struggling to commercialize and had reached out to him for some help. So he bought that business and brought me in to run it with him. And we launched our first salmon jerky product.
Oh, that's amazing. What a great story. How all your experience kind of converged to that too.
We've pivoted a couple of times, and now at Surf Snacks, basically our whole priority is to create awesome snacks using the amazing powers of the ocean. So we can do things that are more sustainable. We can create snacks that are more nutritious and more delicious even than their land animal based counterparts. Um, so we actually have two factories now. One is doing pet treats, mostly all private label, and then our main focus is basically like a meat stick but made out of salmon. So similar to like a Jack Link's, Chomps, Archers, you name it, everyone's familiar with it. We have this great salmon stick that we've rolled out to the market. It tastes awesome. It's way healthier because it's got so many more milligrams of omega-3 fatty acids than anything else out on the market. And it tastes honestly fantastic. It tastes like smoked salmon.
Yeah, no, it's great. I have one right here. I went on a trip recently and I wanted to have some protein with me and I just grabbed a few of them and they worked fantastic. They were delicious and yeah, it was
Awesome.
awesome. So
Seems like the most perfect way. Like it's very easy to when you're on road trips or traveling or whatever, and you grab like, the
That's
like
right.
Jack Links or something like that, but it's so processed and like
Yep.
doesn't have that much, it's like better than a Snickers, but it's still not great. So I love this idea. I've actually never tried it. So I'm now very intrigued about it for sure.
I will have to get samples out your way. Absolutely
I
right after
love
this.
it. I love it. Absolutely. And yeah, getting those omega-3s, it's not always easy. We all try to do our best, like to be healthy, but it's not easy to get all those nutrients you need. And a product like this is perfect for that.
Yeah, and it's funny because if you think about like grass-fed beef, one of the things that makes it so much more sought after than grain-based is the omega-3s that are supposed to be in it. Grass-fed and a grain-based diet, beef stick is like I think it's and I'd have to look it up, but 7 milligrams for a grain-based of omega-3s and 21 for a grass-fed beef stick. Our stick has 1,000, so it's like it's a drop in the bucket comparatively. It just doesn't.
That's like a
It's
supplement. Like
exponentially
instead
more.
of taking a
Yeah.
supplement, you can just eat your beef,
Yeah,
your, oh my God, I almost said beef steak. You can eat your salmon steak.
I actually also really liked your salmon jerky that you had. I know you don't carry that anymore, but I was a big fan of that as well. That's what you started out with. Um,
yeah,
and that's actually where I'm going to kind of segue into how we started working together is when you started with that salmon jerky, and that you had mentioned that you'd worked with a few agencies before working with us. Can you tell me a little bit, or tell us a little bit more about your branding and packaging experience? Like, what do you
yeah.
think is most important for new brands to understand before working with a design agency? Because you worked with, I think three or four before we worked together.
If you think about the jerky set in a store, right? So the place in a supermarket you'd go to buy your jerky, 4 foot, 8 foot section. It's kind of uh, it's very dominated by beef, and so you get kind of these reds and blacks types of colors, and I had a vision for something brighter, something different. Obviously it was a salmon jerky, which is different from anything else in the category. It was a super clean product. It was just four ingredients. It wasn't fishy. It did taste like salmon, if you know what I mean. Um, but it was a very clean product and it tasted great. So we wanted something that would, I think, stand out and be different and call attention to itself. And I just couldn't get it right with a bunch of different uh, designers. And I think we went through like three or four different
Um,
agencies to try and get this right. And I had somewhat of a vision of where I needed it to be and how it might look. Maybe it was just that I couldn't get it across right, but you guys seemed to pick up the vision immediately, which was, I think when it's an intuitive connection like that, when you guys get the vision of what the founder is trying to put out there, it just helps. But I mean, some of the packaging that we went through was absolutely hilarious. One came out like it was purple and it looked like Cadbury's.
Yeah, I remember the purple. It kind of, you know what? It kind of reminded me of like a Doritos chip bag or something, but
Yes.
with a with salmon. I don't know. Like that was kind of what I
Yeah.
remember about it.
And I think I was just trying to like get across the point that I needed it to be different and stand out as something unique in the category. And
Yes.
and I think the designer got it, right? In that way. And to him, that came out like a purple Cadbury's bag, which didn't fit where we really wanted to go, but I appreciated the uniqueness of what it was. Um, but yeah, it was a challenge to get it quite right. And I think you guys, I don't have an artistic bone in my body. But I could tell when something was beautiful and fit the vision. And
Right,
I think you
right.
guys just you nailed it right from the start. You and Shasta were absolutely on it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was actually a whole team of us. Like I think we had four designers that worked on different
Awesome.
designs. The one you guys chose was the one that the packaging was the packaging that I designed, and then the logo was the logo that Shasta designed. So it was actually a
Oh,
combination
cool.
of her and I in that final direction. So it
Never
was
knew that. I
proud of
never
it.
knew how
Yeah.
what the chefs were doing in the kitchen.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I remember seeing like some of those other iterations and
Yeah.
it just not standing out, and that you really needed something to jump out at the audience very clear, like this is fish, because people
Yep.
don't know that. If they're in that aisle looking at beef sticks, they need to know immediately that it's fish. Trying to connect it back to where it's coming from. Your brand colors, we have the blue, we have the salmon color, bright colors to kind of really jump off the shelves. That
And
was
I think you guys got it. Like so for us when we launched it, I think the only way to do it was to embrace that this was salmon and that this was
yeah,
different. And
yep,
even though we knew right off the bat that 90% of customers that are buying beef jerky are not going to be into fish jerky of any kind, we still needed to embrace that this was absolutely salmon and not shy away
yeah,
from it and make it kind of like a beef analog.
I really appreciate that thought process as a consumer, especially when you have those alternative type products that have some semblance to the original product. I don't like it at all when when like these alternatives, which are maybe better, but they look so similar to the original that it confuses you. My husband, he accidentally bought like vegan burgers because like it looked like meat. Like everything on the packaging looked like meat,
Yeah.
and you would have to like really read the little brand where it says that it's vegan. So he grilled them and he's like, so funny, they taste like different than anything I've had before. And I'm like, honey,
These
these
don't
are
taste quite
literally not
meaty enough.
beef. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it's happened to me too. I bought yogurt and it turned out to be like coconut yogurt, which I don't mind, but when you're expecting the yogurt taste and then
Right.
you get the coconut flavor, you're
You want
like,
to know
oh
what
my
you're
God.
buying. Yeah, you don't want to
Right,
be
Right.
surprised
exactly.
at home.
You want that clarity immediately. So what you're talking about, Natalie, is you want to be able to quickly identify and be able to grab it and go, and that it's actually the product that you intended it to be. I think that
Yes.
is really important, especially I feel like now with our society, we just like are moving a million miles a minute, that we need to be able to identify immediately.
Also, that predictability goes away. Like, even if it's something good, like if you're buying a chocolate cake and it looks like a chocolate cake and you taste it and it tastes like strawberries, even if you also like strawberry cake, like you're going to be upset about it because you want that predictability. You want to be acknowledged that you have the right thing. So, like, just like I had with that coconut yogurt, my initial like thought is like, oh, there's something off. Like, I bought a yogurt that went bad or something like that. So like that
Yeah.
predictability, I think, is really important as well.
I agree. And it can be a bit off-putting is like the experience that the
Yes.
customer has. Like that's what you had, like sort of a like, oh, and it might
Yeah.
be, if you had been told like, oh, it's coconut yogurt, you might be like, wow, this is delicious coconut yogurt. But
Yes.
because it was like you were expecting one thing and then you got another thing, I'm like, okay.
Totally, totally. We want people to appreciate the salmon for the salmon.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely. So getting back a little bit to the rebranding that you did with us, how did it impact sales? Where were you selling when we started working together, and where are you selling now? I know you're about to go into Costco, so yeah, tell me a little bit about that.
When we met, the intention was actually to sell just private label. And so we were working with Trader Joe's and had launched with Trader Joe's, and the volume was immense. And we thought we had such a good product that it didn't make sense not to do branded as well.
One of the things I do remember is that when you came back from one of the expos, you were like, "Oh, this was a much different experience than previously." So you had that white package
That's
with like
right. We had a
fish
white
on it, and then
package,
you
and then
said
we did
you
Expo West the year before. That's right.
right, and you came back and you said, "Oh, it was a really different experience than
Yeah,
this time." So, yeah, talk to me about that experience because I remember
sure.
when we spoke, you were like, "Yeah, I just don't know about
That's
this
true.
product." You were very worried that the product there wasn't a market for it. I think it was the branding. So,
It 100% was the branding. We used Expo West basically as our launching platform. So I always try and bring something fresh and new to Expo West because that's when we're going to see most of our customers. And I think the very first Expo West, I was using a package. It was very white. It had little colorful fish swimming on the package. It kind of looked like pet food. We'd used the designer that had designed pet food, so we took that to Expo West. And at the time, we were just doing private label. Didn't get a great reception. uh, it, the branding, we had this big background, and it was the same as the packaging, white, very white, with like green and purple fish in the background. The Surfsnax logo was all black and I think just like a cursive font. People were reluctant to try salmon jerky, or they'd come and say, I've tried salmon jerky in the past. It's disgusting. It's cat food. And that, that ties exactly with what our packaging kind of looked like. And so the response wasn't great. So at the end, we rebranded and took it to the market. And by the time we got to Expo West the next year, you had fully completed the rebranding. You had done the backdrop, the logo, the bags looked great. We were in production on everything. I think I had two different flavors at the time, and the response was night and day. We just looked so much more professional. And I think because salmon's like this weird product, salmon jerky, that people, are a little bit skeptical, even at a food show where you're going to try like weird stuff. I think people were, do I really want to try this? And having a put together brand I think gave people the confidence to try it and approach the booth more than they had before when our packaging didn't look so good. We're announcing ourselves like this is salmon jerky, but we're announcing it with such confidence because we know it's so good, and the packaging is how we're doing that. It was a totally different response. We were picked up by like Wegmans and Y. Out on the West Coast, there's a bunch of different natural stores, but we picked up, I think, that first expo like 300 stores right off the bat, which was really, really cool. So totally different experience coming with the full redesign and rebranding.
Even though we've like continued to work together and know you're going into Costco soon, like I hadn't heard that part of the story. I just, we received the email from you saying like, oh, it was a really different response, but to
Yeah,
hear the actual play by play and to hear the people that you started working with because of that shift and that rebranding, it's huge.
massive.
I'm so happy that we were able to help you with that and be a part of that and really nail that vision for you guys.
I think it comes back to that vision of being able to say with confidence, like, this is salmon, not shying away from it, but saying it in a way that consumers understand, that I don't think we'd hit with prior designers before. So I think you guys just intuited the message and the need for differentiating, but also bringing that confidence. I think people pick up on it, obviously people do. So yeah, it's been
Yeah,
huge.
absolutely. What advice would you give other CPG founders about investing in branding early versus waiting until after you launch?
I think it's an expensive process for somebody who doesn't have any sales, right? It's going to cost money, but I think that needs to be baked into the startup costs. And I don't think you can be shy about that. I also don't think you need to go crazy. There's, a lot of levels to the different branding you can get into. For me, it was important to have something I can take to the market without going too crazy and overboard. I really needed a great packaging. I really needed a great website. I didn't need a lot of bells and whistles. It was important for me to get the concept into the market to make sure that it worked. But the initial investment was absolutely worth it. So I think knowing that it's going to take time, take money, but being able to be quick enough on that to get it into the market, test the concept without going overboard and spending on bells and whistles that you might not need. That's kind of been my path. And now we're doing cool stuff too. So I think like we've got a sample box now, which is awesome. So it comes with like a water bottle and some little swag kind of stuff in it too, along with our salmon sticks too that we can send to buyers to make them kind of feel cool, special, happy, and show like that we have great stuff on offer. But I didn't start that with that. So
I'm glad that you shared the process that you did start with, several different agencies. I had a client come to me yesterday, or new potential client come to me yesterday who said, I just spent a bunch of money getting this designed and I just don't want to bring it to market like this. And I think it's just really scary when you're
yeah,
starting up, especially. It might take a couple iterations to finally get to where you want to be. And sometimes that even happens like because of you go to sell the product and then
yeah.
you realize you need to shift, just like, you shifted from the salmon jerky to the salmon sticks.
In terms of surprises, I I had the background. I had different graphic designers I had worked with on different brands and products. The hardest part for me was going through that with them and through the different iterations coming to the conclusion like, hey, we're just not going to get this right. We're not on the same page. Getting to that point of saying, oh man, this person doesn't see the things that I'm seeing, or their vision just isn't aligned, uh, and having to kind of move on after that and find someone new was really challenging. And then when you find somebody that gets the vision, continuing to work with them and building that relationship has been critical. And now I can drop anything and be like, hey, Lauren, Shasta, what are we doing? Like, I need some help doing this or that, or new flavors, new this, new that. And you guys get it. And I fully trust you guys to develop something that absolutely rocks.
Awesome. Yeah, we love to hear that and we love to be a part of that journey.
I think it's a
Um,
really great skill set as an entrepreneur to do that too. Like to be able to persevere through a loss like that or cut your losses at a certain point. I think that translates to many parts of building a business where maybe it's a staff member that you feel like you've invested and it doesn't quite work out, or a marketing channel that you've put so much like attention and love into and it's just not giving you the returns you want. It's incredibly important skill to be able to see when you need to like change course a little bit.
At the time, it just feels painful, but yeah, I
For
guess
sure, for sure. But many people keep going down a road that doesn't work for many years.
that's true.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so important, I think, as entrepreneurs to pivot when you're
Yes.
seeing those, when you need to, and it's sometimes scary to
Totally.
do that, and you have to let go. You have to like that relationship you built with previous designers, you had to let go and say, "Hey, I need something different actually." And that's hard to do. It's just hard.
Yeah, and then I think you were asking about the pivot from jerky to sticks,
Mhm.
and that was a big one too. Um, at the time, we were selling solidly in retailers and had good traction, good velocity, but the margins weren't great, and buyers kept telling us, "Hey, your jerky's great, but actually sticks are what's moving the category." So in today's world, the number one subcategory of snacks in grocery stores is snack sticks. So meat sticks in particular are driving the category's growth, and it's growing like over 10% a year or something like that. So we kept getting this feedback of like, hey, you got to get into sticks, and nobody had done a fish, you know, stick, creating something that's directly comparable or super convenient, eating on the go meat stick, but a fish stick kind of a deal. We saw that we couldn't scale the salmon jerky. From a margin perspective, it's very labor intensive, and the yields were tiny. Super small yields. Salmon prices went up, and it just didn't work anymore. He ended up switching gears and building out the snack stick factory. So I think we're the only people in the U.S. Who can make a fish meat stick. And so we built this entire factory around it, which was a huge investment and a huge pivot for us, off of a product that actually was performing well in the market. And for months and months after we discontinued the salmon jerky, had people emailing our info at Surfsnax email asking for it or when is it coming back? And it was the number one bagged fish jerky on Amazon. We were barely marketing on there. So we had a dedicated following, and moving away from that safety into something new brings its own challenges, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to have a product that's doing well and then you're like, but the margins aren't there, but let's try this other thing. I mean, that's a big shift. And it's it feels risky probably in the moment. But I think you're right. I mean, the all I see everywhere is protein and everything. There's a big focus on it, especially for people as they age, we need higher protein. It helps with not feeling so hungry also. So
Totally.
there's a lot of reasons why I understand that we're pivoting towards more protein. You're right in the path of all of that happening, which is fantastic. So
Yeah, it's a great place to be. And I think the number one complaint we had when we had the salmon jerky is it was very oily from obviously
yes,
like the salmon oil.
I
So
remember that.
people would have trouble eating it on the go. We meant it for people to have in their cars and their purses, easy access. Um, and then the complaint of like, oh, my fingers are so oily after eating it.
Yeah, I needed
I
like
think
a
was
wipe, I felt. You
Yeah,
need a little wipe with it. Whereas
totally.
this, you just like,
Super
peel it
easy.
down, eat it, go. And yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's all one of our biggest issues. So that made it a little bit easier to see clear skies ahead. We're all eating so much more on the go, which I don't want to comment on whether that's good or bad,
Yeah,
It's
but
it just
true.
is. It
it's
just
wild,
Yes.
isn't it?
is.
Even when you are home, you feel like you're eating on the go sometimes with
Right.
how quick you have to be or how much
Oh
has to
yeah.
get done in a day. It's like it might be made for the car, but it works at home too.
I don't think I've had an uninterrupted meal in like 3 years. I have two young children. It's just like nonstop. Not that I'm having meat sticks for dinner, but
Yeah, I mean, sometimes if you end up skipping a meal, it's a good
yeah.
option to have.
So looking ahead, where do you see Surf Snacks in the next few years? What's the big vision driving your brand forward? What is your outlook? What are you looking to create next?
It's been such a short time, right? It's been a year since we've put less than a year because we launched in March at Expo West, basically for these snack sticks. Despite it being in development for years before and building out the factory and all that, so it does feel like it's been forever. But the brand is so young, the product is even so young. We have so far to go. There's some really exciting things on the horizon. So we continue to add retail partners. We only have one flavor, which is crazy. So we'll be launching two more flavors, and I want to bring those to Expo West. We are launching in the club channel, so we're going live in Costco. Those will be in stores at the end of January or early February in the Northeast. So that's a really big order that we're putting together, and that's kind of driving us to add production capability as we go here. So that's been fun and exciting. So we'll have the two new flavors. We'll continue to push out into natural and conventional grocery stores and build on the success that we've had there. And then we have this whole new factory that is, capable of producing a bigger and bigger quantity. So we're trying to keep that full, and we'll probably pick up some private label business.
Yeah, you have a whole new part of your business now. Like how amazing if you can make, more revenue through more avenues. That's the dream.
I mean, I feel like there could be a lot of interesting things. This sort of savory on the go products, there aren't enough of them. I felt this for a long time, actually,
Yep.
that everything is just so sweet and like candy bar-ish that
Yep.
I have been like wanting savory snacks. And I'm like, where are they? I know there's a couple of brands that have a little bit of that stuff, but there needs to be more of that. So if you guys are part of that, creating more savory snacks, like I'm super excited to hear about however it comes onto market.
We can go far and we can and will continue to grow. But private label is just kind of an easy avenue to fill a lot of our factory's capacity and keep the business turning and moving and profitable. And historically, we've been pretty good at that. But yeah, the long-term vision is we want to build this awesome brand, and we're lucky enough to have this product that is pretty niche, but also be the only ones able to produce it. So I think it gives us a really neat advantage that we're gonna kind of go forth and hopefully have success with.
Yeah, that's huge. And I like how you're thinking about, your business in all these different ways. You started out wholesale, doing a little bit of B2C, and then now you have a factory, and now you're looking at private label. So it's like you're expanding in all these different ways, and I think it's great.
Yeah, and we kind of came at it from a wholesale manufacturing side, and I think actually we're pivoting more into B2C now, D2C, as we get into more Amazon, more, we're on Thrive as well,
Yes.
um, and we continue to grow that way. There's just a lot that we can do on D2C as well. Like our website, we can't even sell yet because that's something I didn't prioritize on our launch. So yeah, I think we can circle back to all of that as well. I think there's a ton for us to do.
So if
Yeah.
people want to try your product now, they should go to Amazon. Is that like kind of the main place that you would like people to go if they see this and they're like, I need to try this?
Amazon's easy for sure,
Yeah.
absolutely. We're also, if they're in the Northeast, we're in, Wegmans, Giant Food, Giant Eagle, Giant Martin, Big Y. I'm sure I'm missing some, and obviously this big Costco launch is for us. So I'm hoping people go into Costco.
How many stores are you in? I mean, it sounds like a lot.
We're in over 1,000 stores, and basically we've been pretty focused on the Northeast. So trying to get more consolidation in the Northeast, I think, is pretty critical, and we want people to be able to go to all the supermarkets that they shop at and recognize the brand and continue to build brand recognition that way.
Mhm.
Um, but we will grow nationally as well. So
Why
yeah,
Northeast? Why is that like the first target? Do people just love
yeah.
fish there, or what does that
Yes.
decision?
So actually, it's interesting. So in salmon and fish in general, there's this huge argument about farmed versus wild. The Northeast eats the most fish. The Pac Northwest also eats a ton of fish, but the Pac Northwest is all about wild salmon.
Mm.
Uh, and farmed is more is what we do. I'm a huge in the sustainability of farmed over wild without going too far into that. So that's kind of been so we've started in the Northeast and I think that's the best area for us to start in.
It's something that no person would really think about until you hear it, and that's like, oh, that's so logical. Of course, that would make sense. Because I'm thinking like, oh, I'm here in Florida. I feel like people eat a lot of salmon, but
Sure.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I think it's just like core to, culturally who, it's bigger there and the data backs it up too. So,
We're just going to wrap up here, but if there's one piece of advice you would give to someone launching their first CPG brand, what would it be?
ooh, I'm so far out from like one of those people who's like, oh yeah, we made it, we did it, woohoo, and let me give all the advice. Uh, I don't know. I think you have to match your personality type. Um,
Mm.
I think some people are really great at risk taking. Some people are really great at putting beautiful things together. For me, it was important to get to the market and kind of then iterate from there. But that's my take on it. I think there's 1,000 different ways people can launch their businesses. And I think, you have to live with the business and the decisions that you're making. So you got to kind of do the things that aren't going to destroy you, like stress you out or, go
Hmm.
against every grain of your being. I think kind of so being true to yourself on how you're launching and living the brand, because I don't think there's one path to success. I think anybody can do anything as they want. I've seen so many different people out in the industry and be successful in different ways, but that's
I
fine.
love that answer. Oh my gosh, that's like a fantastic answer. Or you don't have to fit some mold that people think about. You can be yourself and figure out your way to grow success. I think that's absolutely beautiful.
As an entrepreneur, you do need to take some risk, but people manage it in different ways. And,
Mhm.
there's not one type of person that is successful.
Finding the right partners, like you've done with Lauren,
Totally,
finding those
exactly.
partners that can help you build the business how you want it, that you connect with, that understands your vision.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's why I think you guys have been absolutely critical to work with is it's
Hmm.
just you get it and it's so much easier for me to launch something that's very difficult. Um, because I remember when I launched my own cookie company, getting the branding right, we spent months and months on, and we were trying to do it really low budget, and we just couldn't get it right. And this is something I had a co-founder at the time. He was also an engineer. Neither of us had design bone in our body. And just we struggled so much through that. So to be able to have found, Lauren and team has been super critical because I don't have to spend that energy doing that. I've got somebody I absolutely trust in my corner that's going to produce rock star solid material every single time. So super, super happy. It's been awesome. Thank you, Lauren.
You. Yes, I love that. I love that. Thank you. We're happy. We're happy that you found us too. How can people reach out to you, like if they're interested in carrying surf snacks in their store? Um, what's the best way to reach you?
Info@surfsnax.com is always a way. I get those emails anyway, so feel free to email there. Um, Trying the product is great. I'd really like people to continue to try the product. It's different, so I promise it doesn't taste bad. um, and our website is surfsnax.com. There's tons of information on it, and also a contact us page there too.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Mike, thank you so much for joining us today on Entrepreneur and Mind Speak. And we'll see y'all next time.
Been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you,
Thank
Natalie. This has
you.
been awesome. So I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Bye.